Hey guys, midweek energy update. We've got a lot of water energy to talk about as we reach the midpoint of our week this week. We have both the sun and the moon in water signs. The moon transiting the sign of Cancer, and as of Tuesday into Wednesday this week, the 22nd into the 23rd, the sun left the sign of Libra, entered the sign of Scorpio. So we've got a Scorpio sun, we've got a Cancer moon, and this is going to be bringing up a lot of emotional energy. And to add to that, on Wednesday, the moon in Cancer is going to be coming into a conjunction with Mars, who is currently in an opposition to Pluto. And this is another very scorpionic dynamic. Mars and Pluto are the co-rulers of the sign of Scorpio. So when they are making aspect to each other, that fusion of energy has a tendency of feeling very scorpionic. And when we put the moon right there, that is definitely playing very much so into this deep, intense, complex, a bit ruthless and relentless energy that could be going on. There could definitely be some like infighting. There could be conflict. People could be real hostile, kind of like raging out. You may want to just like steer clear of problematic personalities in this energy. However, there's another interesting dynamic to this whole Mars-Pluto situation that's going on right now, and that is Neptune in the end of Pisces. We need to talk about that as well, because that is likely to have some very interesting impacts on the things that are playing out and what we are likely to see go on right now, you guys. So all of that being said, let us then get into our report and put it all together and see how everything is playing itself out and what perhaps we can expect as we move through our week and head towards our weekend. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the day, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. And if you guys stick with me until the end of this report, I have done a collective tarot reading for us today as well. I like to tap the energy field from more than one modality whenever I'm doing these energy overviews, just to get an alternative energetic perspective on what's going on out there. So there could be some messages in there for you. We're going to do that at the end. Let's start at the beginning with the astrology. And just to put it right up front, this is probably going to be like a really emotional week. If you find yourself at various times just feeling like you're having a meltdown or falling to pieces, or just like really need to like purge something, maybe specifically emotions, or like let it all out, it's a byproduct of the way that this energy is coming together. We have, if you guys watched my Monday video, I was talking about how there's two like consecutive water trines, grand water trines actually, that played out this week. The first one we had on Monday with Mercury and the moon and Saturn, and this is really because of the moon's placement transiting through the sign of Cancer right now, which is ruled by the moon, which is already like an emotionally sensitive placement. But with these exact water trines coming in, and Saturn retrograding through the sign of Pisces, this is breakdowns. And then there was Mercury there, that this is a very emotional energy. Trines facilitate things, they support things and happening. So it is kind of like this flush going on right now. And this week really is, especially also with a strong emphasis on all the Scorpio energy, like it is about the flush, it is about the purge, okay? It is about the release, like letting things go. And with Pluto also right now, we're going to be talking about this more as this energy builds over the next couple of days and comes into its exactness, I believe, next week. We're going to be talking about how a lot of the things that we've been carrying with us, like the burdens, the weights, and especially like on an emotional level, with it being these emotions, maybe like guilt, like things that we've been carrying with us from the past for a long period of time that have kind of defined our perception of ourselves, but are just not in alignment with who universe needs us to be now, okay? We're shedding our skin. Like in this Scorpio energy as well, it's really bringing up strong like serpent energy vibes, especially in the context of the transformational skin shedding, total renewal potential that this energy is bringing to us. Scorpio is an energy about, you know, death and rebirth. It's about the destruction of things, but also the phoenix rising energy, the renewal, the evolution, an upgrade essentially is what is happening for us on an energetic level. We are transitioning ages right now. We're moving from an age of Pisces into an age of Aquarius, preceded by this generation of Aquarius that is coming in over the next 20 years as Pluto prepares to transit Aquarius. So there's a need to recreate ourselves, redefine ourselves, really, you know, go through a fundamental rebirth in a lot of ways. And this is very much indicated by the way that these planetary alignments are coming online or coming into fruition or being activated right now. And the Scorpio energy that's coming through, the sun entering the sign of Scorpio right now, Mercury in Scorpio, and then these water sign trines that are facilitating the cleansing, the cleaning, the release, right? The flush and the purge, as I've been saying, because those are both very Scorpio keywords, I guess we could say. It's all indicated. And then after that first water trine that we had, now I said as we were moving through the week, we're moving towards another water trine, which will actually come exact Saturday into Sunday. It's Mars and Neptune coming into an exact trine, which is a very interesting aspect and dynamic. And we need to talk about that because Neptune is Pisces. When we're dealing with Pisces energy, like that's one of the signs that's all about duality. Things can go and have a tendency of going according to like two distinct octaves. And we're going to need to be mindful of these particular octaves and the ways that they're likely to play out so that we know how to kind of like stay in alignment with the higher octaves and beware of the red flags and the pitfalls of the lower octaves. And the flow of energy between Mars and Neptune when they're in the trine, it can just do some funny things for both the good and also, you know, just kind of some things that we need to look out for. So again, we're going to be talking about that as we move through the report today and as we move through the videos this week and into next week as well, because that's going to be like a prominent feature of what we have energetically coming up here over this next couple of days and also a bit moving into next week as that Mars-Pluto alignment comes in as well. Mars and Pluto in their opposition are being both trined and sextiled by Neptune in the end of Pisces, which again, like, I find it to be ironic the way that these alignments happen in the context of kind of like the cosmic story that's unfolding. We're transitioning out of the age of Pisces by way of exiting actually the Pluto Capricorn generation. Pluto's transit past 16 years through the sign of Capricorn. That's sort of like our final exit from this age of Pisces energy. In my perception, astrologers have been talking about the incoming age of Aquarius literally for like the past 100 years. They've been picking up on it and like seeing the trends and the way that things were heading and unfolding and the energies that were going to be associated with them. If you look back into like the 1920s, there is a lot of spiritual teachings that are very relevant and would be and are very helpful in the context actually of where we're at now and the way that things are going to kind of shift themselves collectively in terms of our understandings and perceptions of reality moving into the future. So, you know, that's sort of like its own little side note. And we'll be talking about that type of stuff a lot more too as we move forward into this Pluto Aquarius period of time over this next 20 years. But this Mars-Neptune energy, Neptune being right there sort of with Mars and Pluto in their opposition to me, which is representing sort of like, and we'll talk about it as we get through this report and again like over this next couple of videos, but I do feel like it is representing kind of blowing it all open, like the final blow, okay, to the systems and the structures and the ways of the past, I guess, and of the reality that was associated with it. We are definitely it's called a paradigm shift, you know, and we use that word, I feel like, quite loosely, but I think that it's going to, in ways that we really can't conceive of right now, become much more like have a much heavier and more like tangible meaning as we continue to proceed through time. I think that this next 20-year period of time is going to just be absolutely wild in the context of like what we thought reality was and how we thought things were historically, like up until this period of time. So I don't want to continue going down that rabbit hole, although I'll tell you, this is also the time for rabbit holes. Like if there has ever been a time for digging, like, you know, conspiracies and going down rabbit holes and looking under every stone, like no stone unturned and stuff like that, this is the energy. People are going to be uncovering a lot of people are going to be finding out a lot, and what we find out is going to be very transformative. And it's really going to, again, like blow the lid off of our perception of, honestly, like reality itself, which probably sounds bonkers, but I'm telling you, it's just, that's just literally what's like being energetically indicated here. There is also a potential, I'll tell you this week, in this like real strong water energy. There is a very strong, very potent, very powerful spiritual influence that you could find yourself coming in contact with, like profound spiritual encounters that are in every way life-changing. This is also what this energy is indicating with the Neptunian influence there, as I said, and we're going to talk about this. I just don't want to, I got to say some stuff before that, and I don't want to get lost in Neptune world and like forget what I like initially wanted to say also. So we'll get there. But the Neptune influence of things is really adding like on one octave the potential for some just very, as I said, you know, profound, powerful, spiritually transformative experiences that, again, like shift our perspective on the nature of reality moving forward somehow, and in some way, like unlock some inner dimension of ourselves that like spurs us on this whole new path that we never would have anticipated, but like really changes our lives and like aligns us with a destiny that we fall into that we never perhaps would have imagined for ourselves. But now that we're here, we realize like this is always what we've been meant to do, or who we've been meant to be, or what we've been meant to become. For as much as situations might be taking from us right now, or forcing us to release or relinquish or let go of or remove ourselves from, there is something that is so much more aligned and fulfilling that is trying to make its way to us. And again, it brings up this whole concept of endings and beginnings, okay, you know, death and rebirth, like letting go of the old to make room for the new, and also the nodal axis, destiny and karma, which have been the North Node and the South Node, which have been so relevant over this past couple of months with our eclipse season, and the endings that this Libra new moon cycle actually represent. What from the past we need to let go of, what karmic ties we're breaking, so that we can actually like go through this spiritual or karmic evolution or upgrade that is connecting us or bridging us to a higher version of ourselves that we've been, you know, destined to align with in this particular lifetime at this particular point in cosmic evolution. Okay, so all of that, you guys, powerful spiritual forces at play this week, and just a lot of people dealing with some very strong emotions, embroiled emotions. We're talking about the moon and Mars coming together, especially on Wednesday, while Mars is in an opposition to Pluto, and the sun is also still in a square to Pluto. Remember, just on Monday we had the sun squaring Pluto. That's another very intense, like clash of the titans type of energy going on. It's literally like the sun, like the life force and the light, up against Pluto, like the lord of the underworld, like the destroyer, the bringer of darkness and death, and you know, all that type of stuff, death and rebirth. But you know, so like those very like fundamentally conflicting or opposing forces coming into their square together with Pluto at that 29th degree, like that was a powerful energy. And now just a couple of days later, we move to the moon coming into the conjunction to Mars. This is, again, you know, this could be bringing up like literal water issues. Like there could be water damage going on, or like conflicts, or just situations having to do that are like of a conflict oriented nature with water somehow. Hot water, boiling water, boiling point, steam also could be a thing here. And depression. Anger turned inwards, it manifests as depression. So a lot of people could be dealing, and with the trine to Neptune there, that's escapism. That's refusing to address a situation. That's like massive, like passive aggression and just like active avoidance of things, breakdowns in our ability to like control our emotions. Or there could just be people really like feeling very depressed and wanting to escape reality. So this is another day actually where if you know anybody that struggles with depression, like suicide watch and stuff like that is probably, you know, more than normal, just like maybe something to be aware of, because Neptune causes us to, it's very detached from reality, and a lot of people are going to be very detached from reality. And that's another thing that I want to bring up, is that, and I've said this a couple times, but I feel like it's important when we have this energy going on to remind ourselves and sort of just like remind people and let people know generally, when we're dealing with Mars, that's the ego, that's the self, that's our own identity, like that is like who we perceive ourselves to be, like that's us. And when we're dealing with Mars in the moon, okay, especially in like a sign of Cancer, like that's our emotions and that's our feelings. And so one of the like inherent issues that a moon Mars or a Cancer Mars is going to struggle with is this overly identifying the self and the emotions, like the ego and the emotions, like thinking instead of, you know, I am this conscious being and I also have feelings and I also have emotions that change and pass and this, that, and the other. There's a tendency to say, you know, I am my feelings. And if you hurt my feelings, if I feel like my feelings have been hurt because of you, you didn't just like hurt my feelings, which I can detach myself from, and I can, you know, rationalize and analyze and like choose wisely how I want to handle a situation. No. If you hurt my feelings, then you hurt me personally, like you attacked me, and therefore I am absolutely entitled to like go for you with all I have because I'm defending myself because you came for me. Like there's no real distinction between like the ego, the self, okay, and the feelings that may be passing or may be associated. So people are likely to be therefore very hyper reactive if they feel like any type of ego bruise or ego wound or hurt feelings or something. And not rationalizing it well. With the water sign trine energy, it's like we're acting on that. And again, with the Neptune influence, this is also like dissociating, detaching, avoiding, escaping, neglecting, abandoning, running away. So there could be some things like that, because the trine, it facilitates things, so there's a greater likelihood, okay, for that. But also, and I don't want to make this an entire video about Mars trining Neptune, because that's what we're actually going to be talking about in the next video. There's also, though, on another hand, it does bring out, you know, spiritual warrior type of energy also, because of the spiritual connotations on the high octaves of the Neptunian energy. And there will also be people that are being literally driven by, again, maybe these profound or powerful spiritual experiences, like a spiritual compulsion to serve, you know, to be of assistance, to help out. So there will be that real deal type of stuff going on as well. But there's also going to be a distorted version of that. A lot of people like exhibiting a savior complex for their own like covert ego benefit somehow could be playing into that as well. And we'll be talking again more about that as we actually move through towards the end of this report and get into the next report, which we're really going to focus on the energy of Mars and Neptune together. But for now, I want to go back and talk more about the nature of this Moon-Mars conjunction that we have going on specifically on Wednesday, in the midst of the Sun squaring Pluto. Although, as I said, this is now out of sign, okay, we're no longer Libra, Libra, Capricorn, cardinal square. The sun has entered Scorpio, so it shifts the dynamic, but it is still nonetheless a sun square Pluto going on. Mars moving 2 degrees out from opposition to Pluto, I believe. Pluto's at 29 Capricorn, Mars is at 25 right now. So we still have like a 4-degree orb as of Wednesday, but this is building and drawing closer. It's going to be about 8 days until it comes exact from the time that this video comes out. And so, you know, of course, as we move towards that point in time, we will be addressing it more and more. But with the moon coming there right now, this is going to give us maybe a bit of foreshadowing about what that dynamic is likely to bring in about a week when it does come into its true alignment. It is likely also to be provoking these emotional responses to things. Storms, it could also represent kind of like another wave of like strong storms or something coming through, but people melting down, and these just emotionally turbulent situations, like emotionally turbulent undercurrents, really like running through and fueling as like the power source with Pluto there, a lot of the things that are going to be happening, playing out in people's actions and behaviors this week, because Mars rules actions and behaviors. With the conjunction happening in the sign of Cancer, we have to say that that obviously could indicate a greater tendency for conflict within the home, within the family, within the like local community, things to do with the mother or maternal energy. Angry mothers responding powerfully could be a thing that's going on, one possibility of the way this energy manifests. And then again, though, on the other side, like I was saying, the Neptune influence on the higher octaves is about compassion, is about altruism, is about you know, sacrificing the self for the benefit of those that we perceive to be in need in some way. We just don't want to take it too far, because Neptune can take it too far for that. So people genuinely could be driven, again, to be like, or help, or be part of a cause that they feel like is bigger than themselves. There could be a big volunteer effort or something that is going on. You could find yourself involved in some way as we move through the weekend. It does indicate that, but we want to be careful, right, of staying away from this savior complex. That can be kind of a trademark of this energy. It really brings up themes of sort of like covert narcissism, and people can feed their egos very subtly in this energy through their charitable efforts and all of their good deeds. You know what I mean? So just be, I don't want to, you know, say too much about that, but just be aware that that is a likelihood when we have this energy going on. If you are in need of some help during this particular period of time, you should definitely, you know, ask for it, open to receive. A lot of people are more likely to step up to help, but, you know, just be aware of people's motives, people's actions. Both sides of these Piscean octaves, you know, the fish swimming in 2 different directions, the victim and like the martyr, savior, hero type of situation, could be dominant rationale behind people's actions and behaviors, again, on like both sides of things. People could really be leaning strong into like the victim side of it and like using their victimhood to try to manipulate outcomes somehow. On the other hand of things, people could really be like seeking some type of ego gratification through their, you know, charitable efforts or perceived like goodwill or good deeds. So both of those things, greater likelihoods when we have this type of energy going on. But again, like I said, there is also a stronger likelihood that people are genuinely being motivated by the power of like literal God or like some type of divine calling or spiritual experience to step up and be of service in some way as well. But then again, there are others who are going to be like mirroring this, but instead of it being authentic, it will be more so kind of like looking for every opportunity to play that role and assume that identity while actually kind of covertly benefiting themselves somehow. So, you know, the whole concept and themes of covert subtle manipulation and narcissism and stuff could be just something to be aware of, kind of red flags of this energy. And again, we'll talk more about it as we and go probably deeper into it as we move into our weekend video and this energy really comes exact. But with the moon coming to meet Mars today, the moon is like a trigger for energy, right? So even though these planets are not in exact alignment yet, and they will be as we move into the weekend and early next week, the moon coming into this particular setup right now, I do feel like is activating this. Like, we're likely to get a preliminary dose of how all of this is going to function through perhaps what we experience as the moon transits through and activates this dynamic and setup of planetary placements that we have going on. It could also bring a lot of infighting. I mean, it's a conflict-oriented time generally right now, you guys, with the cardinal squares that we've had going on in the Mars-Pluto opposition, Sun square Pluto, and just with the Cancer energy and the moon, this is also making me think, you know, infighting within groups, within families, within communities, or on the totally polarized alternative octave, it could also be people coming together and uniting, again, through perhaps some type of spiritual vision of community or camaraderie that is inspiring and motivating things. So it could go either way. We're likely to see both. Regardless, emotionally driven day and week, I would wager to say. And as I have said, and I will continue to comment on, the Mars-Pluto situation is just a real gem that we have going on. We only get this lineup once every 2 years. I think for my Mars-Pluto opposition report, that's probably going to be, I'm not sure if it'll be Monday or Wednesday of next week. I'm going to look back and see when the original conjunction of Mars and Pluto was. That'll tell us, you know, because we're at the midpoint of that cycle. Whenever we have planets come to a conjunction, it's representing a new cycle of energy going on between those two planets. Whenever we have them reaching, you know, their square, that's like the first challenge point. When we come to the opposition, that's like the full moon phase. That's like a manifestation point. And then when we hit the third quarter square, that is the third point of breakthrough through to completion, when we culminate the process and begin a new cycle with a new conjunction. So I need to look back and see exactly when that original energy was born to kind of analyze where we're at the midpoint of it. But it is intense. It only is going to happen once every 2 years because it takes Mars 2 years to transit the zodiac. So Mars hits every planet once every 2 years, unless Mars retrogrades over a planet. That could also, if Mars had retrograded over Pluto, it would have, you know, kind of messed up that whole thing. But I don't know. I don't remember if that was the case. Like I said, I need to look back and see when that was. But regardless, we're dealing with an energy that we only get once every 2 years, the opposition with Mars and Pluto. And because Pluto is at 29 Capricorn right now, that is, of course, we're only going to get that energy once every 250 years because we're closing out this cycle that we only experience once every 250 years. Mars does one transit of each sign for a period of time, usually between 10 and 20 years, and then we won't have that energy again for another 250-ish years while Mars goes through the transit of the rest of the 11 signs of the zodiac. So we're closing out at the very last degree of an energy that we are not going to have for a historically significant period of time. And as a result of that, and of course, 29 degrees of any sign is known as a critical degree. This is a degree that really holds a lot of the condensed energy of that sign, a very potent, powerful degree. So this is a very potent, powerful Mars-Pluto opposition that is like groundbreaking, you know what I mean? Like, it is era shifting, it is generation changing, it is all the things, and it's likely to be, you know, quite explosive as a result. And as a result of that, we're probably just going to kind of go through some contention, I would say, as we move through this period of time, but also this very strong spiritual infusion that is bringing people together and creating the spiritual warrior vibe and motivating people to do what's right and stand up for, you know, truth and freedom and the human spirit. You know, this is the destruction of like the old empire. Like the flip side of that is the liberation of the like enslaved human spirit, okay, as we are coming into this age of Aquarius that actually is bridging us back into an ascending golden age period that we're going to be moving through over the course of the next 10,000 years. So we're headed in the right direction, you guys. Although it's just this is like total dynamite, okay? This Mars-Pluto opposition that we're moving towards, blowing things open, demolition, burning it all down, ruthless and relentless traditions, systems that have structured the way of life generationally, aka these karmic cycles that we're being released from right now, indicated by all this nodal activity that's been going on and so prominent. The North Node in the sign of Aries being ruled by Mars. The North Node is the destiny point. The destiny is to like free ourselves from the oppressive control systems of the past era. It's crystal clear if you're reading the energy, you know, at least the way that I'm reading the energy. I don't know about anybody else, but I do think this is also representing like the end of, you know, karmic cycles and generational cycles as well. Big things are changing when it comes to power dynamics between like authority and individual, the government and the people. That's ultimately what we're talking about here, and externally and internally as well. This also is having a lot to do with restoring a sense of personal self-empowerment so that we actually feel like we can do it, like we do have the power to get in alignment with this like destiny that's being activated, or the spiritual purpose that we're awakening to. Like we're going to be restored internally with like a sense of power, self-empowerment that facilitates our ability to do what universe is calling us to do right now as well. Like that's another dimension of how this is playing out, and what this Pluto-Mars opposition at this point in time at these degrees is also indicating to me, in my humble opinion. So I think that we're going to be feeling the rumblings of a lot of this as the Mars-Moon alignment comes into play on Wednesday. The Neptune element, as I mentioned, I do think will largely be tempering a lot of the overt expressions of maybe these blow-ups, or just the more ruthlessness. I don't think it's necessarily going to be as on the surface as it might be if we didn't have all the Scorpio energy, which is about things, you know, not being completely demonstrated for as they are, and also this Neptune influence that is not making things exactly appear as they are. But we have these very two clear octaves going on here nonetheless, like defend and protect up against control and destroy, you know, people versus establishment, and like the whole man versus machine type of thing going on as well. These polarities, these issues, these themes, these archetypes, these dynamics pitted up against one another, and we're likely, again, this is just, it really is like dynamite that we are moving towards right now. Another thing, you know, I want to say before I wrap this one up, just to bring to the forefront of our mind, so we know emotional manipulation and control via empathy, like the concept of weaponized empathy, this is also something that we could be seeing utilized, or like efforts to kind of play in these regards. We could see that right now. These could be themes with the way that this energy is. Another sort of red flag to look out for. Don't let your own desire to help out in a situation make you blind to the true nature of the situation. Like lots of wolves in sheep's clothing here. And also it reminds me of that story of the snake with the woman. When I was preparing my notes earlier, this was coming to my mind, the way that this energy is, you know, where she like finds, I honestly don't know like the specifics of the story, but like the general idea of it is like this lady's walking down the road and she finds this snake on the road, and it's like her or something like that, and it's like, oh, can you take me home and feed me and heal me? And she's like, oh, poor little snake, like, you look innocent, you can't do anything to hurt me, sure, I'm happy to help you, I can't just leave you there. And then she like takes the snake and she like takes care of the snake and she like nurses the snake back to health and like feeds the snake. And then the snake, and like she thinks that like, you know, her and the snake have a good vibe, a good thing going on, like she thinks it's this reciprocal situation. But then once the snake decides to or feels better, again, like I don't remember the specific or the detail of the story, long story short, the snake one day decides that it's just going to go ahead and bite the woman and be done with her. So the moral of the story is, you know what I mean, like, be careful what and who you are feeling sorry for and allowing your empathy to, you know, get you to care for and involve yourself with. Okay, be careful what you're involving yourself with as a result of your desire and your care and your feelings to help. Okay, so there's that. Also, just to reiterate, which is one of my favorite things, people could be melting down, depressed, angry, violent, vengeful, hostile, confrontational, very heavy into the victimhood as well, playing on that maybe to try to manipulate or get what they want. I'm talking about manipulation stuff because, I mean, we're talking about Scorpio with Mars and Pluto. Like, the lower octaves of that can be very controlling it through manipulation and like underhanded type of stuff. And then we're talking about the Neptunian Piscean influence, very strong as well, which is also notorious for like manipulation and deception and illusion and projection, and again, like playing on the heartstrings and using compassion, like weaponizing victimhood and empathy and all of that type of stuff. Okay, so there's that. But then again, on the opposite end of things, people could be very self-sacrificing, driven by compassion or this true spiritual compulsion to serve. So we don't want to just undercut everybody and assume the worst, okay? Because there are people out there that generally are literally going to be an embodiment of their higher self, called to, you know, fight the good fight and be this spiritual warrior and serve the higher purpose right now, that are like stepping into the arena. We really do have that going on as well. We just need to be aware, and we just need to not let ourselves be like played for a fool because we're getting too caught up in some gratification that we're getting from something or some power trip, because that is the thing. Okay, people are going to be getting, and I mentioned this in my last video and I'll talk about it in my next video, people are going to be getting real drunk on the delusion of power, and people are also going to be very humbled by some profound spiritual experiences or encounters. And it's going to be up to us to have the like intuition and the observational prowess to be able to decipher and discern which is which, to be able to tell truth from a fraud or a con. Okay, so trust your gut, pay attention, feel your feelings, but do not overly identify with them. You have feelings, okay? You are not your feelings. They are not you. You are a sovereign conscious being capable of choosing and creating your own perception and therefore your own reality. Again, you know, when we're going through this, even though it might be the hardest thing in the world, when we're really enmeshed and caught up in, you know, a fit of rage or being hurt by someone or some type of passionate feeling that's come over us, like, we still have to be able to make the distinction. Okay, like, I'm feeling this, I'm caught up in this, however, this is not me, this does not define me. I do not have to choose to act in accordance with whatever feeling might be sweeping through me right now. Like, I can be in the feeling, I can acknowledge the feeling, I can have the feeling, I can embrace the feeling even if I want to, but I don't have to react or act in a way that that feeling gets to control. Like, I still get to choose my actions, even though I may be feeling some type of way and super triggered in this moment. So it's just kind of like what we need to tell ourselves, how we can like be our own coach perhaps as we move through this. But it's an excellent time, you guys. There is never a better time for purging. Again, releasing, cleansing, cleaning, letting go. getting your life together, getting yourself together, getting rid of the things that are becoming very evident to you in this energy are just not working for you. That's one of the plus sides when we have these Pluto oppositions and squares going on. Oh, they're likely to show you what's not working. And if you figure out, or life makes it very clear to you, universe, God makes it very clear to you in this energy what it is that is not working, that's a real good cue on what you should probably just go ahead and cut ties with right now, because if we choose to hang on to those things, it's going to be an even bumpier ride going forward. So we want to get rid of the things that are causing us issues, that are stealing our life force, that are overly burdensome, that are holding us down, that are toxic in any way. Great also for fixing things, making repairs, especially like mechanical issues in engines and stuff like that. And also, of course, you know, just throwing stuff away. And remember, this energy, you guys, is as much about overcoming self-limitations, self-limiting beliefs, ways that we have like held ourselves back or been detached from our authentic self as a result perhaps of ways that our power has been stripped from us from the past, or ways that other people have treated us, and the like identity maybe that we've taken on as a result of that. That is not the vibe anymore. Anything that is a facade, any way that we have molded or, you know, forced ourselves to be in order to satisfy some larger group or community or family, if it is out of alignment with, you know, what we're coming to discover is our true actual purpose or our passion in this energy, this is when you cut ties with that as well, and you realign yourself with a path to growth in alignment with that which makes you feel alive, that which feels spiritually supported, and that you know you're just growing into, whether or not you even want to at this point in time. Universe really has the wheel in a lot of ways. This is a very destined period of time. I do believe there is going to be more spiritual growth that just sort of collectively goes on within us as individuals, that is then reflected like in the greater collective consciousness over this next couple of years than we have seen in a long time. I'm talking like maybe, you know, decades, if not centuries worth of spiritual growth happening over a very short period of time, couple of years coming up here. And the more that we can therefore get in alignment with that, the more that we can decide to transform ourselves and change, you know, even in small ways, areas of our lives, to release ourselves or to get over or to remove ourselves from the things that maybe have held us back in the past, or just to be more in alignment with the flow that we feel like is authentic to us right now. We're going to be supported in that. We're going to be glad we did. And I'm telling you guys, like, where we're going, where we're heading next, we've never been before. And we should, you know, even despite everything, try to find at least a little shred of excitement or enthusiasm about the potential for what the future could hold. You know, even though we may be going through some dark days right now, even though things could be really difficult, we are going into uncharted territory, and there are brighter days to come. And actually, the sun at 1 degree of Scorpio is kind of describing that on Wednesday. That Sabian symbol is a sightseeing bus filled with tourists. And so we're about to see some things, you guys, that I don't think that we've ever seen before. And that's what I have to say for our astrology report of the day. Let's talk about our tarot cards for a minute. This message that we have going on today, I feel like isn't quite reflective of the actual astrology. We actually have the moon on the back of the deck talking about, there may be a lot that we don't understand right now. There could be a lot of just 5 of Cups under that. There could be some regrets that we're having, or there could just be some sadness, or again, some very emotionally complex issues that we're dealing with. There's also likely to be a lot of things that are just like hidden from our general awareness right now. A lot of people acting very unconsciously, also acting very, again, much from a place of emotional reactivity and not really thinking things through. It's interesting because the cards that we actually have here, we've got all of these cards in reverse. We've got Temperance in reverse, 9 of Pentacles in reverse, 4 of Swords in reverse, the Hermit in reverse, there's a level of things definitely being a bit unsettled right now. We may feel like there are upsets to the peace going on. We could feel financially unstable or just generally ungrounded in the way that our life is like kind of set up and established right now. There could definitely be like a lack of peace going on just internally in terms of our ability to like rest and relax. We could feel like we don't know what to do, like we can't gain clarity, or like in some way detached from like our own best judgment somehow. But then we have this Knight of Swords like rushing forward, which is a very verbally, you know, reactive energy. And with the moon here, I feel like, again, this is kind of telling us, you know, be careful what you speak on right now. We're not seeing a lot of things clearly. The areas where things may appear to be kind of like as upset or unstable, or that could be making us feel unsettled or ungrounded, or like nothing's going right, or everything is kind of like up in the air. There is a lot of illusion in that context. There's a lot of distortion in terms of our ability to understand that. Like there's definitely and kind of like overly pessimistic emotional tone to a lot of the thoughts that might be racing through our mind right now, and a lot of the conversations and the messages that are being delivered. A lot of people could be like preemptively speaking on things from like a distorted emotional point of view, where they actually like don't have all the answers, or they're not actually seeing things clearly, or they're coming at things from a place of like doubt and insecurity and internal like lack of balance, lack of harmony, and like poor judgment, but like rushing forward with that based on, again, like some type of an emotional response. This is telling me don't necessarily take things that people are saying too seriously today, especially if it's in some type of maybe like frenzied way. There could be sort of like a frenzy going on that is based on fear, that is based on like unconscious responses to things, that is based on a lack of clarity and understanding, that is also perhaps based on like just a more, again, like an unreasonably pessimistic attitude that could have people sort of like rushing forward, jumping to a conclusion, saying something that like nothing is going to work or things aren't going to work out, but that's actually like not necessarily the actual scenario that's on its way to transpire. Or this could also be like someone literally coming to save the day. There could be an unexpected or some type of like mysterious heroic figure or information that comes out of nowhere that rights the things that are upside down or not balanced or unsturdy or unstable or like falling apart somehow. So again, we've got kind of like two distinct octaves playing out, but regardless, you know, the moon and the Knight of Swords, like this is an emotionally driven energy. This is a hyper reactive energy, and what people are reacting on, while on one hand it could be very like spiritually infused, on the other hand there could be a real like lack of true clarity that is driving it. Very emotionally responsive energy, I guess we could say. So that's what I got, you guys. We're gonna get one more card now. We need to get a synchronicity message. This is a message from God, Spirit, Universe. Final piece of advice, guidance. What should we keep in mind as we navigate this energy that comes in for us on Wednesday? We got the card Great Blessings, you guys. So this is beautiful to see in the context of, you know, whatever, again, we may feel like is kind of like not right now. For whoever calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved, Romans 10:13. Nothing is more powerful than God. Contact God quietly with faith and confidence, and know God is opening a path and solving your problem. With God, nothing is impossible, and great blessings will be yours. So this to me is reminding us of the profound spiritual power and influence that is simultaneously available to us right now in the context of moving towards this next chapter, purging the past, embracing the higher destiny in alignment with that higher spiritual calling and the spiritual truths that are making themselves known to us right now, and the great blessings that are associated with the pursuit of that path to the new destiny. That once we all do this, you know, one by one, it's essentially describing this energy of self-actualization, that this new Aquarian energy is over time demanding of all of us, which is what will manifest over time. Again, the transition of ages from this previous age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, an age of self-knowledge, an age of self-actualization. That is then, you know, kind of unlocking a lot of the secrets of the universe that are going to bridge us back into that greater 10,000 year ascending golden age that we are moving towards right now. So we are on the path to great blessings, you guys. We have to keep that in mind, even if it feels like a lot of things got to crumble in order to actually free us to move in that direction. But we're gonna get there, and with God, nothing is impossible, and great blessings will be yours. So that's what I have to say today, you guys. A message from the stars, a message from the cards. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends if you think that they would also be interested in this type of astrology content. Leave me comments, you guys. I am so grateful for your presence here. I really value what you guys have to say. I appreciate when you let me know what's going on with you out there. If you're having experiences that line up with what I'm talking about in these videos, please let me know in my comment section below. You guys are the best. I love you. And come back with me on Friday. As I said, we're going to get deeper into this Mars-Neptune energy. We're going to have a lot to talk about. I will be here to talk all about it. You should be here too. We're going to do that on Friday. So I will see you then. Have a beautiful midpoint of your week, you guys. And until next time, bye.